Hello everyone, so this is Vidhan Agrawal and today we'll be talking about the common mistakes that we make in traditional logic. So we'll be looking at a few topics and we'll see what kind of mistakes do people usually make and the mistakes that I used to make as well. So looking at coding decoding, so firstly in coding decoding you might not know the numbers assigned to the alphabets, because of which you might not be able to find the logic of the code, and you won't be able to decrypt the code. So what you should do is you should know the number of alphabets. Suppose C, so you should know that C is 3. And if you can't remember those alphabets, you should always write that in your paper, so that whenever you come across these questions you can always refer to those alphabets and their numbers. And also, in most of the coding decoding, people think that it's given in sequence. So suppose there's a word like day, and there's a the first word is day, and the first code is suppose 1PZ. So people usually think that 1PZ is the code for day, but it's not usually like that. It's jumbled. So you shouldn't always again see that it is in sequence, and 1PZ would be definitely the code for day. It could be the code for the fourth word, it could be the code for the third word. So that's one of the mistakes that people make in coding decoding. And okay, next, coming to the next topic, which is input output. So usually in input output, people don't leave the questions after 2 3 minutes. So if in 2 3 minutes people are not able to find the logic and they're not able to crack the code, people still go for it because it comes on their ego. People think that I'm a genius in math, so I should be able to crack input output. I have given so much time to input output. So it's not like that, because I still remember in my paper CD 2020, in the fourth slot, I had completed input output ka question, whereas Aditya Sridhar, who is one of us, he did not complete input output. But you can see he is still above me, had scored more than me. So it doesn't matter if you cannot crack input output. There are many different questions which you can. So don't take it on your ego and just move on. Moving to the next topic, which is direction sense. So in direction sense, people get confused between east and west, and so if someone is going over here, people take it this side. So that's one of the very common mistakes. Another one is, suppose a person has gone straight and taken gone to the east. So after that, if in the statement there's given that after that people the person takes a left, so people usually get confused that in what direction is the person looking at, and from where should he take a left, and in which direction would be. So always think from the person's point of view. So if a person has gone east, so you should see in which direction is he looking at. He's looking towards east, and accordingly he would be taking a left. So it might come towards our north or our south. So that doesn't matter. It just depends on the person itself. So this was a mistake with direction sense. Coming to blood relations. So in blood relations, people often make this mistake of assuming generations. So if you're given, suppose, three married couples, four married couples, people assume that there would be three generations, there would be two generations. So unless specified, you should never assume the generations. So with logic and proper data, you should be able to understand that how many generations there would be. So if you're given that there's a grandmom, there's a granddad, so you can expect there to be three generations. But if you're not given that, could be two generations as well, a bigger generation. So that's another mistake in blood relations. Now coming to syllogisms. So one of the most difficult part of syllogisms that students think is the either or wala type of questions, which is pretty simple, and you just have to know a few tricks, which even I've mentioned in our course, the top percentiles course, and we've been getting good feedback for that, and it has really helped students. So one problem is with the either or type of questions. Another one is only, not all. So these kind of questions often confuse the students. So just have a look at that on the net itself, so that you are good with it and you don't get confused in the exams. Also, another problem is the same letters. So if two words have got the same letters, like black and box, so both of them start with B. So people often write B for both the words, so they often get confused and they might make a mistake. So if there would have been a black over there, so people might consider it box and mark the wrong answer. So you should avoid that. And in case the letters are same, just write the whole word or maybe just first two three letters, so that would clear the confusion. Another problem with syllogisms is reverse syllogisms. in which you're given 5-6 statements and you have to choose the right one. So people often make the whole diagram for each and every statement, which is really time consuming. So you shouldn't do all those things. And again, there's a shortcut that we've given in our course, and that would help you save a lot of time. And for a topic like syllogisms, you should always have 100% accuracy, because it's one of the easiest topics of LR. Okay, coming to selection criteria. So one mistake people make with selection criteria is the age. So people often get confused that if that age criteria is getting fulfilled or not. So always write the age whenever you see a year or a month. Always compare it with the one in the question and just write the age over there so that you don't have to look at it again. So suppose the criteria given is that the person should be from this year to this year, and the age comes out to be 30. So just write 30 over there so that whenever you have questions on it, you can straight away compare it with that 30 instead of looking at the years. So that is one thing with selection criteria. Another thing is people write each and every statement again on the paper, which is really, really time consuming. So get used to this. Whenever you see a question, just look at the question instead of writing, and just write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the statements on your paper. And from the question, just keep ticking the pointers. Suppose your question is fulfilling the second criteria. So just put a tick on 2 instead of writing the whole statement. So that would save a lot of time and would help you attempt more questions. And the last one that we'll be talking about is inequalities. So people get confused in this when they have to, compare, suppose A and D. So suppose A and D are towards the end and there are a lot of letters in between. So people often miss the change of sign. So suppose there's one greater than and there's one less than in between. So you cannot compare all those or those two letters which are in the end. So that is one thing. So people in hurry always compare those two even though they cannot be compared. So that is one thing. Another thing is people find it difficult to combine two statements. So if you're given two statements which has A, B, C, and a third statement which has a second statement which has C, D, E, so it becomes difficult for them to combine. So in these cases, you should always look for the common element and try to connect those two statements with that common elements. So these are a few things which you should keep in your mind while attempting traditional logic, and it is one of the most scoring section of the paper, because you're not always sure if the puzzles are going to be easy or not, but the traditional logic is always going to help you, and it's always going to help you score the marks required, which is the highest marks to get into the best college you want to get into. So generally traditional logic comes for around 40-45 marks. So ideally people score around 55-60, the maximum part. I used to score around 55 in LR. So if you are really good with traditional logic, just do one or two more puzzles and you're sorted for LR. So you should always be strong with traditional logic. Just keep these points in mind, and a few sectional tests, and you'll be great with traditional logic. There's not much to practice for traditional logic. Just understand that trick once and you're good to go. Thanks, guys. I hope this session helped you all.